It's a fact, you're not here. You ain't even real, but you still bring me fear. You make my bones so tired that my soul stands up. But now I'm starting to need to bleed to fill this cup. It's like I'm starting to need to bleed to fill this cup.
Hi, everybody, and welcome back to the Working Wing, the podcast, the YouTube stream where, man, I used to have a whole flow. Not every week, but when we feel the urge come upon us, we come here onto YouTube to share our thoughts, our Working Wing perspective. And it is sorely needed these days, so here we are. My name is Tim Schultz. And joining me, as always, my dear friend, longtime debate partner, and a man who makes Joe Manchin look like Matt Gaetz.
Oh, wow. Look at that. Okay. Look at that. Also relevant, also powerful.
Yeah, I don't think that quite works with what we're talking about because, like, Joe Manchin, you know, whatever. Killian Collins is here.
Yeah, hey, Tim. Glad to be relatable to a relevant, creepy Republican. Thanks.
Yes.
Anyway, Tim, yeah, it's been a couple months of reckoning in terms of like showing some of the mask off parts of the Democratic Party, some of the progressives in the Democratic Party. You and me and myself, we've had quite a lot of like fights in the past, just about Democrats and about like whether they are just corrupt or whether they're like doing the best they can type of thing. And I think
right, and my perspective has changed
very much so. Very much so in the last.
We see our previous stream, my divorce from the Democratic Party.
Yes.
But
I mean,
the railroad road was the rude awakening.
Yes, and yeah. So in the past week, we had a speakership circus, which 2 years ago, I remember we were arguing about that too, because like I was coming in hot. I was divorced from the Democratic Party like well before 2020, and in 2021, I was like raving and screaming about like, well, these progressives can't even take advantage of their slim minority. And a lot of people at the time were also saying like, well, they're doing the best they can. Well, I mean, like, what do you expect to just like, you know, make Democrats look weak? And I was like, well, yeah, they should make them look weak because like they do need them to win. And that's exactly what Kevin McCarthy had to experience.
Yes, the Freedom Caucus had basically been trolling those Reddit threads and discussion posts and YouTube live streams where everyone was excoriating the Progressive Caucus for mishandling their leverage at every turn, and they said, "Hey, let's not do that.
Yeah,
let's use our small amount of leverage within the party and actually get every single thing we want.
Actually play politics. Let's actually let's actually use our leverage and like. And the thing is it's like people say like, well, no, they're going to use and propagate like representing our constituents, and it's like, okay, well, I mean, obviously it's like
no one gives a fuck about representing their constituents.
No, exactly.
That is a bullshit argument.
Their constituents being their like major private donors who are keeping their campaign alive, and like who they're going to pass a lot of laws that they hired firms to help write, and basically
even like AOC, even like no one gives a fuck about it. It's never about the constituents. It's about who gets you elected, where the money comes from.
Yes. No, and it's and AOC too. It's like, and here's the thing, man. Many of like I liked AOC in 2018. I was optimistic, and that person has been a major celebrity disappointment. Who I'm just it's just basically like I can just like see like, yeah, she's just rising up the ranks.
It's not just her too. I don't want to single her out. It's the entire leadership of the Progressive Caucus.
Yes,
in the House of Representatives,
the so-called progressive. I mean, Hakeem Jeffries is a part of that too,
which is a joke. Which is a literal joke.
Right.
It's y'all need to work on your membership requirements.
Or even and here's the thing, Tim, like, and we'll talk about this later. We're going to get into this a little bit later when we get into strategizing thing. It's just like, if you're going to have a big tent, you need to have a standard still. And their standard just seems to be like, well, you're just not a part of this faction. You're not a part of this other faction. And that's like the only fucking requirement. And it's
Right.
like,
But even yeah,
it-
but even ignoring the false flags like Hakeem Jeffries, uh, the progressives did still have enough leverage over the past 4 years at
yes,
numerous moments where they could have impacted things for the better, where they could have advanced the cause of progressive politics in this country, and they failed to do so.
yeah. When they had specifically promised to be that really disruptive part of the
Right.
Democratic Party. When
Right.
AOC was saying, "Oh well," I mean, and it's like I know I'm singling her out, but she's like she's the most media covered one. She's the one that like we all know, and people say
Right. She plays Among Us.
right with
Yeah.
fucking Destiny, right? Like,
Yes.
so I mean, like, right, she's the one that's like has the most internet shit. So, or just she's got the most recognition among any of them, and just seeing her, because I remember her, like, her entire thing before this was like, oh no, you're able to be a one-term representative. Like, people don't want to be that one-term representative that causes problems. And it's like, well, yeah, obviously not. You don't want to do that. Like, you don't want to fucking do that. You want to get elected a whole bunch of times and play
You
ball
do.
and play
And a
nice.
higher office than just Congresswoman from New York.
No one wants to be Ralph Nader. Bernie Sanders doesn't want to be Ralph Nader.
Oh no.
Hell no, dude. Like, he's like, he does not want that at all. Like, he does not want to be like grimaced. I mean, the thing is that they already grimace at him for just like stealing the election away from Hillary, when it's just like, oh no, you ran. Like, I always wonder, Tim, what that meeting in 2016 between Barack Obama and Bernie Sanders was that just like Obama having, like, pouring a glass of scotch for him, just going like, hey, so it's I stole from Hillary last time. We give women their chance. I can't let Trump win.
It's her turn, Bernie.
It's her turn, Bernie.
Bernie.
It's
Bernie.
her turn.
Well,
Trump's
yeah,
too
I
dangerous.
think
We'd
that
agree on that.
glass of scotch was way more than the glass of scotch.
Yeah.
I think that was the proverbial money truck backing up to Bernie. That was kind of the quiet promise from the establishment of like, Bernie, you're going to be taken care of. All right.
I mean, maybe like it, but the thing is I think most of their threats are like, we're not going to like ruin your life. Most of their threats are that, because they don't even have to spend the money, because like they need the money to feed the war machine anyway. So,
well, the money is nothing to them. Like
yeah, I mean, kind of, yeah, but it also like money is also like, we can hold power over you and like, make sure that there's these smear articles. I mean, there's already like a billion smears about the man for just like literally doing what he was told. Like, it's like, yeah, they could do a lot worse on him too. Like, I'm really sure they could, but I mean, but no, it's there's a whole lot. It's corruption, not in the sense of like, even if they don't get money out of it, what they're getting is just a political career out of this.
yeah, no, Bernie. Like, I think that's what they were saying to Bernie. Of like, Bernie, you are always going to be relevant. You are always going to. The New York Times will always take your calls.
Yes.
Whenever you want to scold the Democrats ineffectually, they will.
We're gonna make sure that you're part of the Democratic elite that's able to
your books. Yeah.
That's able to like say which journalist you'll go to, because you can pick and choose because they need access to you. Like I remember there was this internet show, and I used to watch him, but like it was like this guy named, it's like Crystal Kyle and Friends. It was like some guy named like fucking what the fuck? I can't remember his name anymore. I think I blocked it out because of fucking trauma of the dumb shit he says. But anyway, they had like an interview with Bernie Sanders, and and Bernie Sanders demanded that the guy who was more critical of him, that Kyle, stay off the show. And he just like got interviewed by the girl Crystal. And it's funny because like Kyle and Crystal are dating. And it's just kind of like, wow, dude, like you called Bernie Sanders a cuck like on a couple occasions when he like was not doing his shit, and Bernie Sanders just decided to cuck you for an interview. Like, bro, like you just fucking, like, he totally did, dude. Like it's like so sad too, because these people, they like these so-called, like, I mean, they're independent journalists in the sense of like, yeah, you don't work for like CNN necessarily, but you mean, it's just like, but you're still playing ball the same fucking way. So what makes you any different from them?
But I want to let's turn it back specifically to the House and the squad.
Thank you.
Like, I think what really got under my skin was a article I read recently, an interview that AOC gave to The Independent, where she was basically taking a victory lap about being ineffectual.
Oh yeah.
She was commenting on the Freedom Caucus and the Republican House fight and saying like, yeah, that's why I can get things done, because the moderates know I'm not unreasonable. And it's like, AOC, you haven't gotten anything done.
She's like the least effective representative. Anything. Like, not shit. All she's done is like plagiarize ideas and then like not even get shit done. Like, all she's done is be a celebrity. Like, that's all she's fucking done.
It really is. It's outrageous. Cause yeah, I mean, like the Build Back Better thing. Like I showed you in an opinion piece I was reading that was written by Pramila Jayapal, Katie Porter, and Ilhan Omar about how they were going to boycott the bipartisan infrastructure bill until the Build Back Better had been passed through the Senate. And then they didn't. They just didn't.
Nope. They had no.
Pelosi got in their ear saying, oh no, we need to guarantee highway funding and this and that. And they caved.
Right. And
it was them versus Joe Manchin and Kristen Sinema, and Joe Manchin and Kristen Sinema outlasted them. They folded first.
And then their response to that is go like, well, guys, we just need more progressives to do what we're doing. Roll over. Just vote for more of these people. For more of these people who roll the fuck over.
Roll over.
There's nice people who roll over.
That's honestly not even to me as infuriating as what happened this past December with the railroad bill.
Yeah. Oh, Tim, that's what set you over the edge. That's what set
set me over the edge. And I include Bernie in this too.
Yeah. Oh, he is. He's full-handedly responsible with this. Yeah,
because he said that he would filibuster he would filibuster the resolution in the Senate until sick leave was included, and he just did not.
Yeah,
just did not follow through. And the squad, I think AOC was even like, I think she used the exact "my constituents" when it came down to splitting the bills in the House, splitting the sick leave and the union busting bill. She was like, I talked to the union in my district and they want me to vote to split the bill so that they get something. It's like, no. All right, hey, if you're just talking to union leadership, they're the ones who supported the the bill that the union membership rejected in the first place. Just getting an email from the union leader in your district doesn't really count, I don't think.
Well, I mean, yeah, it's just selective too.
It's always selective.
Because it's like, yeah, when fucking when Christian Smalls is out there, it's like your ass goes, oh no, he's not in my district. Oh no, he's not in my fucking. It's like you have found a million excuses to like not go out with working people, but then it's like when you need an excuse to fuck them, it's like, oh no, well we have I got a guy for that. I have a guy for that. Don't worry. Much like the Republicans, like using like someone like, like Herschel Walker or Herman, well, yeah, we have a black guy who agrees with our horrible shit. So like we love black people, right? Like,
cool. Yeah, exactly. And like again, like when that like the union leadership, which is often a problem, sided with management.
Yeah.
And President Biden and the membership said, "Fuck that."
Yeah. No. And the thing is the membership needed to be able to like use their leverage and that's always been a problem with unions. It's like, yeah, and that's like the oldest adage once you start getting into the union is that it's like, well, yeah, your leadership
was not deprived of their leverage in this situation.
They
got to sit at the table and negotiate. Membership did not.
They got to keep their seat at the table, right? They got to keep their keys.
They were in the room with Biden and Warren Buffett and all of them. Somehow the leadership wasn't bothered by no paid sick days, probably because they're not actually out on lines like that.
No, like because they're taken care of. No, that's exactly it. You don't have people like actually representing them. It's just
they aren't doing like 3 weeks stints out on the lines or anything like these railroad workers are.
Yeah, and so they have no problem like fucking him over. Which I mean, the only leverage you have at that point is to strike, which honestly just gets down to the whole problem in this country, Tim, of like, well, we just make striking illegal. Like we just in this country, we just make striking illegal some places.
Right.
Like in New York.
Yeah, exactly.
Like in New York, if you're a teacher, you cannot go on strike. You will be arrested. You will, the judge will instantly find you guilty. Like you have no recourse. Like you just cannot do it. it's pretty fucked. And it's like, but this country, like, it's like us compared
And
to
I
other
saw so
Western
many
nations.
people trying to defend Biden by being like, well, he only did this because railroad workers are a special case. I'm like, they are not a special case. It doesn't say jack shit about railroads in the Constitution.
No.
It says in the Constitution, Congress has the right to regulate interstate commerce. So they just gave themselves the right to fuck over railroad workers.
Yeah.
And if it ever comes to it, they could give themselves the right to fuck over Amazon workers.
Yes.
Or if the Teamsters ever did a big strike, if trucking desperately needs more unionization, but if there was ever a big trucking strike, they would make striking in the trucking industry illegal like that.
Think about this.
They just would.
And you're right about that. You're absolutely right that, like, yeah, if truckers weren't unionized, but they did do something like that, the government would do, like they said, like the West Wing, is that, like, yeah, I'll draft all you guys I'll draft all the military to do it. I'll make sure our commerce, which is the core of our economy, gets done. Like, I'll make sure this happens. But I'm just thinking that, like, so, like, you know, over the last 2 years, when we had, like, you know, the great resignations, you know, like, you know, many people quitting their jobs and being able to get back on it. And that is, like, in my opinion, you know, there's could be some, you know, gray area with this, but it seemed kind of to me that was just kind of like an impromptu. It wasn't like a strike necessarily. But the thing is that, like, it was a big old people are quitting because the wages aren't high enough and wages increased. Yeah. It was like a de facto kind of strike.
You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right.
One that's very
movement leading to a change in the market forces at play.
Yeah. And the thing is that people didn't even have to be in the same career field. They didn't have to be in the same, you know, class or, you know, location. Like, all these things were kind of, they all had to just kind of hold their independent interests, and all of the independent interests together were just like, we just need more money. We just need, no one even had to say it collectively. Like it just, there's people like, you know, clamoring for it. But the thing is that when you have like a worker shortage, and then the industry has to respond by incentivizing something, like some way to do it. And whether the thing is that they have enough that they could probably afford to give people more. And
but they absolutely could afford to get people
no more. They could, but the thing is just
all posted like record profits every year for like the past 2 years. The pandemic has been great for corporate America.
Yeah. So, like, they always do, and they're always going to lowball you, and you always could give them more. But it's just a matter of, like, it's kind of like it makes me think of like a person going to a poker table the first couple times, and they're really bad at first. And then they learn kind of like how, when they have a certain hand, how they can kind of use that leverage against the other players, how they kind of learn how other players play their hands, and kind of how some people are full of shit, which players bluff, which players don't, which ones have the real capital that you can just like really take it all off of. Because the way I feel in terms of power is that, like, the working class is in this poker game, and they got like a tiny little thing of chips. They got a tiny little thing of them. And all the other players are like fucking like absolutely stacked, you know, fucking chips stacked up to their head, you know, like they could take you out if you just go in all in once. You just basically getting in the game and betting a little bit is nothing to them. They're betting that you're not really a real player to them. They're betting with each other for the real power. Like when you throw in your little bit of chips, it's basically you need to like really capitalize on what you're betting on to make sure you get a return with that. And a part of that is, like, you know, with poker players, a big strategy is just not bluffing. It's just not bluffing a lot. So then when you actually do bluff, they all believe you.
Yes.
It's a big problem. It's a big thing. I know many poker players who play very, very, very conservative. And every time that they raise, I get the fuck out of that hand.
Yes, I think that's if they hadn't turned out to have bluffed so horribly during Build Back Better, then maybe they could have bluffed a little bit harder during the railroad strike.
Yeah,
because obviously that would have been a devastating moment for the American economy. I understand that they didn't want to do that, but the thing is that, like, if you didn't have a history of like backtracking whenever you say you're going to double down, maybe it would work better for you.
And that's the unfortunate part about this whole the far right part of the section of the GOP, the Trumpian wing, is
They're just
that
better at this.
they're just more willing to play. Like
Yeah.
it sucks, but they're way more courageous. They're way more revolutionary in that sense of like, I wish that like there were fucking representatives that had that fervor
And
for the right thing.
in a way, I think I was actually reading another thread on Reddit earlier today, but like that old Steinbeck quote came up about temporarily embarrassed capitalists versus socialists, and that the full context of that quote is actually saying that everyone who called themselves socialists in the 1940s and during the Depression were actually just temporarily embarrassed capitalists.
Yeah. And
That the socialist movement was not nearly energetic enough in this country. The people who called themselves socialists were like either either rich people who would still just like chase away homeless people outside their mansions,
yes.
or people like you and me who have very left-wing opinions, but there's no one in the world we fight with more than each other.
Yeah. I mean, and there's been things where that changes, Tim. I mean, it was a different time back then,
But
and the 40s in America did change a lot. But I see what Steinbeck's means with. I mean, because that's what I mean, we need to build coalitions. Like that's when the left is fucking strong. And like you're absolutely right, Tim, of like, yeah, they had temporarily embarrassed capitalists. We had capital. It's basically, I think about like those like fucking the crazy people at the January 6th riots who like owned a business and decided to run down there because they're completely fucked. I'm like, well,
we need more of those people on the left. We need people who are just like, fuck my whole life. I'm ready to like really
go for the cause. But the thing is, the right ended up like taking them in because I'm honestly thinking, man, like there's a lot of dumb fucking like Democratic Party shit that pushed them the fuck away and said like, you're not welcome here. We're fucking done with you. And it's sad too, because like seeing like all this shit, it's like I see so many like how you say, Tim, those like old like temporarily embarrassed capitalists who like go like, oh no, like I love Black Lives Matter, but they will chase out the homeless person out. Like it's like no, I love LGBT people, but it's like you don't care when they live under a bridge.
The
like, you know,
and shit,
right?
Not in my backyard.
It's all complete. Like Master Harold and the boys, like fucking Master Hal, like Master Harold, right there. Like it's the I'm so good. I talk to them all the time, but they call me Master Harold. Like it is that type of like, and it's the same type of like racist energy, and it's like that's there in the Republican Party, but people just either like don't pretend it's there, or they go. I see this a lot of the time too, with like a lot of like Mexican Americans who just go up there and go like, no, fuck Mexico, dude. Like I fucking Trump's great, dude. I fucking hate like, bro, I'm a good Mexican, but like fuck those other motherfuckers like you're talking they start getting on the fucking imperialist shit of like they start getting on that because it's like, well, no, I'm trying to play for the winning team, not knowing that like, yeah, that winning team is like fucking you, like they're gonna fuck you. It's you can't just like work your way up to it. You can't. Not everyone can just achieve it. Like you got lucky. And like everyone else here who's been living here is like getting lucky too, but that luck's gonna run out. Like, and as soon as like luck starts running out for the country, we are the fucking fail safe that's going to like be the safety net for the rich. Like we have to sacrifice; they won't have to.
Yes, absolutely.
Like that's what the real fucking deal is. And during the Depression, like Steinbeck was talking about, it's like these capitalists, these small bourgeoisie, like the little tiny bourgeoisie, they were trying, they were having that fail. They were seeing that the American dream wasn't real for them, that like you can save your shit up and do things right, and the outside forces will still fuck you by people who you don't really elect, or you did elect and you didn't know better. And they had to find other ways to go like, okay, well, I need to unite you people who are like, who know my pain, who know my struggle, who are willing to listen to me, who are willing to go forward with what I know, and honestly, a lot of the time, man, a lot of them had to get educated. A lot of them had to like learn about how, like what things are actually possible. They need to get outside of our bubble. And we need to get outside of ours too, because like what's going to be important is like left is like you and me, like we'll fight with each other. But the thing is, though, is it's like because we both like open like discourse, you know, like we don't care if there's disagreements. We just need to hash it out. Like we're gonna do leftist infighting, but we have to hash out the bad ideas. We just end up losing our focus. That's what you and me do. Like
yes, we do all the time.
All the time. Like I imagine you and me having a town debate, and the fucking whole like it's full to the brim, and then like 45 minutes in, yeah.
Like, these guys aren't gonna accomplish anything. What are we doing?
We're fucking done here. Right. And I mean, and that's around in a lot of leftist circles too, where it's like, you try to join an organization and they're like, all right, well, we're on some bullshit. Yeah, you can buy our newspaper and do this, and we're gonna go out and like rally for the abortion rights against the Supreme Court, and we're gonna go out and protest. Like, it's kind of just like, all right, like they just kind of protesting off of like whatever Democratic issue or whatever issues are important to the Democratic Party, whatever they're pushing right now, which is very just like, are you using the Democratic Party to your advantage? Because it sounds like they're not representing you at all. It sounds like they hate you for going out and protesting for them for the issues that they want, and they're not even representing you for it. It just sounds like you're doing work for them for free and not even representing your own cause. You're not holding leverage against them.
And it's just that, and like, no, like if if the Democrats had any chance in hell of securing abortion rights in the year 2022 or 2023 for that matter, I would be all for going out and protesting. I would be all for, let's raise money, let's elect candidates. But it doesn't matter because they're not going to do it.
No.
There is a 0% chance that they are going to secure abortion rights.
Yeah.
I
mean, the easiest thing, it's a lot easier to accomplish it on like the local level, I'd say. The local, regional, statehood level. Some states are going to be a lot harder than others.
Yeah, I was going to say, you would think, but I think we have a way better chance of securing. I think abortion rights will happen federally before they ever happen here in the state of Wisconsin. Just as an example, I feel like we don't. If we don't have a snowball's chance in hell of getting abortion rights federally, we have somehow less than that here in the state of Wisconsin.
It might just have to be a different approach of like seeing how the parties are changing too. It might have to be something down to come to that, because like we don't know. I feel like there's been changes in the air. There's been a changes coming around. Like there's the fight within, like the Democrats kind of have their footing firm. The Republicans are like change. The Republicans are in the midst of like a spurt of like change and growth right now that like they're having to struggle with. There's definitely like a major. I mean, this House vote is evidence of that. That there are factions within the Republican Party that
the Republicans are a mess. The Republicans are a mess, and the Democrats do have their feet on stable ground.
But much like the rail unions, the leadership does not really represent what the Uh-oh.
No, it's like my phone going crazy.
Well, I was gonna say it's much like the rail workers. It's kind of just like having the rail workers, the leaders saying one thing, but the masses wanting another thing, and they're not represented
exactly.
again.
Yeah, like the Democrat leadership is working in lockstep right now, but I feel just incredibly like apathetic about all of that. Because I mean, once Joe Manchin leaves, if Joe Manchin, once Kristen Sinema gets primaried out, they're not gonna have that excuse anymore. and like I was just reading about this entire like Build Back Better package and how it died, and it's just hard for me to entertain the notion that Joe Biden was ever actually serious about passing the whole thing.
No, he wasn't, dude. And that was so frustrating during the election, as I was like, this motherfucker ain't gonna do any of this shit. Like he is like, I mean, he was saying like the most progressive agenda ever, and it's like, well, it'd be like, yeah, but he ain't gonna do this shit at all.
Like you would, Joe Manchin and Kristen Sinema would go to the White House, and then an hour later, like half the bill is gone, and it's like, okay, well, you were never actually serious about getting that money in the first place, were you, Joe?
No. No, he wasn't. Like there's a lot of those problems. I mean, there's problems with Joe Biden that I think that even on the left we could exploit. Like I know with this new Freedom Caucus and everything, they're going to be investigating Hunter Biden, and it's like, if you're going to do that, I think we can really press on like at least going, okay, can Mr. Joe Biden, since your son got to be like a drug addict and get away with it and be fine and not do any prison time, can you just make marijuana illegal? I'm sorry, make marijuana legal like federally completely.
Yeah.
So just do that, because he can do that with a stroke of a pen and just be done with it. And he obviously he's fine with releasing like the 0 people who were in there federally for marijuana. He's cool with releasing all those 0 people. So why not just make it legal federally? Because
there were a few hundred. There were a few hundred people who got out with that order, but yes, your point is taken.
A few hundred, Tim. No, Tim. Yeah. Nobody got out. Nobody got out. What people are federally in there for pot? Like nobody got out.
There was a Netflix documentary about a guy. He had already been released, but there are other people like him. There were there have been some federal weed smuggling cases.
All right, Tim, but like either way, Tim, if he's gonna do that, like first of all, I'm still saying it's 0 because I haven't seen any of these names that have like actually gotten out on these federal charges. But like,
have you looked for them though?
Yes, I have, Tim. I actually have. I haven't seen this Netflix documentary you're talking about. That's like, oh, all these people. Like, we'll have to see. You know,
no, that was about a weed smuggler who Barack Obama pardoned.
Okay. I mean,
he had been a racing champion / like massive marijuana smuggler.
Oh, okay. Well, either way, Tim, Joe could definitely do it, and I think having that attention on his son is like, I think that's a way, because honestly, like, these Republicans are going to use Joe Biden to their advantage regardless. I'd say use that to our advantage. Forget the things that we actually want to. Because to be honest with you, Tim, I'm seeing some Republicans change in the marijuana issue, and I think we can definitely exploit that, especially if we have like a president who's hesitant, who doesn't want to do it, who's on the Democratic side of it. I'm like, well, I mean, if we're going to have to be stuck with Republicans for the next 4 years, can we at least change them on a couple issues that I know that we can at least maybe get some on? Because I know the libertarian fucks are all with us on that.
I agree with you, Killian, but I don't think the Republicans are going to want to give the Biden administration and the Democrats anything nearly as popular as marijuana legalization.
They're not going to give them anything. They could just do it themselves.
They could just do it themselves.
That's what I'm saying.
Some of it themselves.
That's what I'm saying, Tim. If there's enough of a cry and demand for it, and let them know that there's a lane for this that you can exploit. These elections are like going by like a hair's margin. If you take this issue and you champion it, you could win the elections. But they don't want it. No one wants to risk that. And that's what's kind of crazy to me, because there are like longtime Republicans I talk to who are like, I don't understand the marijuana like prohibition. I've
always known Republicans who thought that was stupid, but the politicians are a different story.
No, and that's exactly it. It's like, but the thing is, it's many of these Republicans, much like many of these Democrats and progressives, they just end up voting for the motherfucker because they're afraid of the other person. So they'll accept all of that person's bullshit because as the same with Joe Biden, dude. Every motherfucker voted for Joe Biden, not because they like Joe Biden, because they're afraid of Trump, and they accepted all of his bullshit with it.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's what's fucking sad. Like, that's what I'm trying to get people to get the fuck out of it, to actually kind of analyze, well, yeah, like this isn't actually the existential threat. We're always experiencing an existential threat with a politician. Like, all of them are. And the ones you're voting for are probably going to like throw some existential threats out there too. So, I mean, like,
well, it's like, that's what I get frustrated with. Like, I've had people who I really like who have heard my revised opinion about the Democrats, and they pull the same moral existential, well, if you don't vote for Biden, you're letting the Christian right win. And I'm like,
right.
The rise of the Christian right has coincided with like Biden being in office, Nancy Pelosi being in office, Chuck Schumer being in office. Their ineptitude and their bad politics have led to every major win that the Christian right have won over the past 20 years. So you're telling me that if I don't vote for the leaders who have consistently failed for a quarter century to check the Christian right, I am somehow enabling the Christian right.
Yeah. No.
By not pursuing the same failed strategy of the past quarter century, I am somehow complicit in the rise of the Christian right. It's like, no, they have failed. They have failed consistently at almost every single turn.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely fucking right. They have. And
And I will not be bullied into feeling bad for not pursuing the same strategy that hasn't worked.
right.
I feel like I have wasted my vote on these people my entire adult life, and I'm pretty sick of it.
Right, exactly, Tim. And like they don't win by just our vote, by just your or mine. They win by that collective margin. And honestly, Tim, what's really pushing elections right now are like what independents are doing, what people who don't necessarily vote down the ballot do. I mean, for Democrats, it's like their strategy for the last 10, for however long has just been to like, well, no, just get those like pure D voters out there, get them motivated, get them excited. And the Republicans are like, no, like make sure people are not excited. So our like good old steady base stays out there and they vote alone.
Right.
And like that's the entire strategy of this shitty bipartisan this
This
duopoly
gridlock.
system. Yeah. This duopoly oligarchic system that both serve one party. But here, I'm gonna put this one up here. All right. So yeah, we were kind of talking a little bit about like how can working people use the radical right, like use like whatever party is in power, what parties are fighting the people in power, what they can do to use those demands and that power to our advantage. And that's kind of what we were getting into the marijuana legalization thing about just like, well, yeah, if Republicans are going to be in power with it, I think it's important to get their mass voting base, get them excited and get them demanding something that
Right.
they know is ridiculous, that they know should be off of there, that they know is silly. Like be able to talk to people like who like our families of cops who go like, well, yeah, I think it's ridiculous to like bust people for like pot and shit. Like, and where it's like, okay, like, yes, so we don't have to approach you and go like, well, no, your father is a murderer. And we can stay away from all that shit because we're not associated with the Democratic Party. We're not associated with any of this shit. We can just actually like talk to people like, and hear what they want, hear what they need, hear what they're concerned about, and offer a fucking way that we can use them and us to get there for the things that we want,
Yes.
We don't have to.
And the next time there's a big leverage moment, next time the Democrats have the House and there's a big continuing resolution that absolutely has to happen, be a little fucking crazy. Be a little radical, please. Get articles written. Get breathless articles written about you in the New York Times about how you're threatening to destroy the fabric of the Democratic Party. Please
trigger the libs.
Yes.
Trigger the libs. Please, like trigger the conservatives if you have to. Trigger me.
Yeah.
Trigger me. Like, come on.
AOC,
like,
AOC said in this Independence interview that I read that the fact that she's so reasonable most of the time means that when she pulls the line on something, people know she's serious. Well, pull the line on something. Please, anything. Like find a moment where you can actually do something and then actually do it.
Yeah.
It's yeah.
It's funny how a lot of these articles just try to like placate and just play up like it's like these politicians are like a person. They're like, no, they're like your nice aunt or cousin who are talking to you, and they're really reasonable all the time. So when they do say something, it's going fine. And you're like kind of looking at them like, well, this family drama is still going on. You haven't done shit. It just sounds like you're trying to keep everything, you're trying to go along to get along. Sounds like you're just trying to fucking, keep a job.
Not rock the boat too much.
Like to know where you got the notion. Yeah, I'd like. Well, anyway, Tim, I think something going forward that we need to be thinking about, we need like other leftist people to think about, is coalition building. Is honestly, because the thing is, we don't have to like stand united with like people we disagree with on everything, but we can stand united with them on things that we agree with. We can stand united on things. We can actually build solidarity and build our own base to know that we are the people, that the masses are the people who are not to be trifled with, because we hold the economy, we hold the commerce in our hands.
I agree with you, Killian, except I feel like coalition building, in the sense that you're talking about, it really pertains more to like in our system we can really only vote for candidates. we don't get to actually directly influence issues in our system. Like building. I see what you mean about how, yes, there are definitely issues out there that you could build a massive coalition of working people around. But in our system, what you need is a candidate who is actually willing to fight for that, constellation of issues. And that is what we do not have.
I agree, Tim. But what I'm saying is we could also find candidates that are willing to fight, mold the issues that are popular to get them elected around things that lanes that they can actually take. So if they're really popular and they're going to win anyway, or they're really like going to be close to winning, and we can get them on issues that are going to put them over the edge, then bully to us. If a Democrat's not going to pass it, or if a Democrat goes, oh fuck, damn, like let me do something about that but better. Like then they start actually competing over these issues that are popular. But the part that we need to work on, Tim, are making these issues popular enough, not just to working class people, but to be able to kind of like put them on the tail, or be able to relate them to these like petty bourgeoisie problems, to wherever this energy is, where the revolutionary energy is, to be able to change something, where that fervor is, where people are actually going to fight for something. And the thing is, that's not in the left. And the only place I'm seeing it right now, and it's like, it fucking kills me to say this, but it's like, it's in that little fucking Trumper wing. That is where that fervor is.
Yeah,
that's where that energy is.
But there's not that much that we can actually work with those people on.
There's not much, but there's something. There's not much I can work with libertarians on either. But it's like, if I can get them on a couple of things, if they're going to be taking it anyway, if I don't have any political power, but I get the people who are like throwing the issues out on political power to be concerned about other issues, that's a fucking damn. That's like actually like a win for me. Like I don't actually get to win everything I want, but I can actually get those couple things I need by bringing those issues to the table.
I do see what you're saying, Killian, but yeah. I see what you're saying. But
I know it's hard. I know Reddit. I know like if any of your Reddit friends see this, they're going to be like, oh yeah, well, so you're just saying work it the right way. And I'm like, well, no, like I'm trying to pack on our issues to anything that like will get like marijuana legalization. Like there's plenty of conservatives.
Marijuana legalization is an issue. Yes.
Yes. You won't get abortion rights. You won't get abortion rights like with these people. I understand that. Like I get that. But it's like I'm not going to like press that issue with them. The Democrats aren't going to push for that issue either. Turns out we're going to do that on our own, and it might not be as popular. Right,
but if we're dissociating the Trumpers from the Republican Party, then I think we also have to desegregate like the neoliberal center from the Democratic Party as well, because I feel like there are issues like abortion rights is an issue that like we could team up with the in theory, like left of the neoliberal mass center to get abortion rights.
I think they're already on board with that, Tim. It's just that it's the same thing. Is that we're putting our cards in a party that's like going to be like, well, we're just not going to represent that.
Right, but that is an interesting issue because like it like the numbers are there for a lot of these issues. The numbers are already there. Like it's not that these Republicans, these Trumpers already, they don't need to be convinced that like that marijuana should be legal. They already think it should be. Like literally like over 75% of people in this country think that marijuana should be fully legal.
Yeah.
It's an incredibly popular proposition.
But Tim,
it just has never translated into like actually politically happening.
Because people aren't willing to withhold their votes for these issues. And I think what we kind of need to start getting people on is like hearing their issues, hearing what their concerns are, even if we disagree with them, even if like they're not our fucking thing, and see what we're able to center things around, see where we're able to actually like find that footing around and actually like jump on and build coalitions around. Like it's like, yeah, they agree with it. And if we get them to understand that, like, well, yeah, withholding your vote isn't going to like make Joe Biden the next president. Like what you doing that isn't going to do that. If he's going to be president, it's going to be because of like influxes that like aren't going to be affected by you. But you can have more power with your vote if you decide to withhold it for the issues that you find important. And usually by the time, like, but if you ever get down and listen to them and hear what issues are important to them, the chances are they're Republican or Republican. Let me finish quick. The Republican or Democratic representative will probably not be representing their interests. So we can actually like start getting them to realize that, okay, if it's like they're all basically the same and I can withhold or give my vote depending on the issue, we're already starting to get them a little bit.
You don't get to withhold your vote depending on the issue. That's what I'm saying. That's not how our country really works. I mean, you vote for a candidate. You get a chance to vote on a candidate's whole swath of issues every 2, 4, or 6 years.
Yeah, that's true. But Tim, like, there's also issues that, like, you know, people take a stand on that they won't vote for. Like that's usually how we vote. Because usually it's like you can end up like troping the representatives. That's like, well, yeah, both of these people don't represent you. The two major parties don't represent you at all. But you can vote for a third. You can unite and start doing other things. You can. There's other options out there, and it's like I know we have this whole narrative, especially like they're gonna have the whole thing. It's like, well, yeah, you vote for a candidate, and you can unite around a different candidate too. Like that can actually happen when people realize that, like, yes, these two parties are doing the same fucking thing. And I think most Americans think that. Most Americans like don't trust Congress. They don't trust our two political parties. Most Americans definitely do not. And they are just kind of looking for like, well, what can I get that's actually going to represent me? And I think what we're kind of talking about is like political representation. Like, how do you make that manifest politically? That's actually that's actually going to mean something. Because even if a third party doesn't have to win, Tim. A third party just has to be able to make the issues that they're representing front and center. They just have to be able to cause a disruption. They have to be able to like fuck one party over the other.
Yeah.
That's really like what their thing is.
But again, like, I don't know. I will concede to you, Killian, that there are single issue voters and there are, you know, never that candidate voters. But like, I don't think it really works the way you're imagining, though. Like these Republicans who were like single issue abortion voters, or like all these supposed like single issue abortion voters, I'm not sure they ever really were. I think they were just Republicans.
But the thing is, Tim, you think they were all just Republicans, or do you think that? I mean, like, what makes you say that they're just Republicans? Like, what other?
Well, like when I hear like single issue abortion voter, my mind always goes to like some devout Catholic, like white woman living in like Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Who tells all her friends, oh no, I don't like all this nasty shit they say, but if I vote for this person, they're in favor of abortion, and I can't have that.
Yes.
It's against my beliefs.
Yes. Yes. Much like how many people.
I don't think that person was honestly ever actually opposed to all the heinous shit that other person was saying, though.
I disagree, Tim.
I think that person just really was a Republican.
Tim, you voted for Joe Biden, and I don't think you agree with busing. Like it's like you voted for that candidate because of the other issues and because of the never Trump.
Yes,
yeah, exactly. And that's how I'm saying most people vote. But your political awakening is because you're seeing that your own party that is supposed to be like at least stopping this shit is not doing that, or not making any effort to do it whatsoever. They're just
you do have a good point there, Killian. You do have a good point. I have actually always vehemently hated Joe Biden.
Yes. But you voted for him because he
that wasn't really an issue thing. The alternative is so much worse.
Yes. But that's how most Americans are voting. That's really how most of them are voting. Like they will take all the aspects about their personality that they hate. They'll take all the politics that they hate, but they'll sacrifice all of that because the other person is apparently so horrible. That's what American politics is. Is that you need to vote for this candidate because the opposition is going to start the next nuclear war. Like that's always what this has been. I mean, especially what it's been over the last like 20 years. But it's. I mean, mostly all I want to get at, Tim, is I just wanted to throw out the terms coalition building of like.
No, I do see what you mean.
Yeah. And I'm not saying you think I'm completely right either. I know you're very skeptical about just like you don't know about like how many voters. I'm willing to accept that. Like,
yeah, and it really also it all does come down to the money. Like even if it really does all come down to the money.
Yeah.
Even if we do find our perfect ideal third party candidate who, has the right constellation of issues that he can pull together, like 3/4 of the country or whatever.
No,
That's one guy, and he's going to be broke as fuck because all the money is locked up right where the entire establishment wants it.
that's I agree, Tim. You're gonna need a multi-class struggle. Like you're gonna need to work with other classes that actually have capital, who realize that, like Mao Zedong, like it was like okay, well, the revolutionary energy was with the peasants, but then with Chiang Kai-shek, it was fucking like, okay, so like these capitalists are going like, well, the economy sucks with him, so I guess I'm a communist. And it's like, well, yeah, not really, but like you're picking a side based on the situation in front of you.
Right. Well, yeah, and in China and in Russia, you had a lot of cases where maybe a landlord started wearing a lot of red once he heard the army approaching, and
Yes.
quickly became, a commissar for that area.
Yeah, right.
Instead of ending up against the wall with a bullet in his head, and that's how movements get co-opted too.
That's true, Tim. But it's like if we're going to like have like a major change, or because it doesn't have to be like a major overthrow. Like I'm not advocating for anything like that. I'm like talking for just like shifting political energy. And to be doing that, like, yeah, like it does come down to capital too, bro. We're going to have to like actually like jump on some of these issues that like other people with more capital actually have, be able to branch out things that we've made popular that like we need to like work with people who need us to win things. And we don't agree with them on everything. There's plenty of leftists, Tim, that like I respect, but I definitely do not agree with. That like I'm just like, well, we just don't see eye to eye. Like our philosophy is different, our visions of this are different, but I still very much am going to respect you. I'm going to defend your right to live. I'm going to defend your right if the government ever comes after you. Like it's like I'm willing to work with these people I disagree with, and there's issues that like I will have a hard stance on, but it's like I'm willing to hold those to contend. I'm willing to put some of them aside and go like, okay, well, I need to work with this person for this thing. But it depends on like it all depends on like what they're for and like what things I cannot stomach.
Yeah.
Because there's going to be some things that's like, yeah, I didn't think I can stomach this a couple years ago, but it's like, I can live with it now. If it gets like if it keeps us moving forward, if it keeps us actually like going down a path where we can like keep fascistic capital like fucking limited, keep it down. We can actually like bring like means of production closer to the people.
At this rate, I might just write in Killian Collins.
Hey,
for my next Killian Collins for the next senator from Wisconsin.
Hey, man, like, hey, that'll be fine, man. I'll start advertising it. I've written things I've written in mush mouths that like I'm like, oh yeah, like you're a terrible representative, but it's like also like I hate the other opposition. Like the opposition is just so terrible that it's like I can't fathom giving my vote to them. Like I mean they'll win without me. They'll win without me, and I'm not afraid to like fucking go. And honestly, if there's a person who runs for either of those major parties who is like, oh wow, like I mean Bernie Sanders was a compromise candidate. Like
he was.
It's completely like it's like there's all these things I can't stand about him.
He was a compromised candidate as well.
Yeah,
he made noises recently. I think someone from his staff floated a rumor saying that he was considering a run if Biden didn't, and I hope the immediate backlash against that.
Oh God!
Because that would be terrible.
Bro,
I won't. Bernie run would be an absolute disaster for the progressive movement in this country.
Bro, I'll be joining that canvas to Iowa and like sabotaging it actively.
Yeah,
like I will be showing, like I'll be infiltrating that shit so hard, just like fuck you, dude. Like there's
basically
so many...
Bernie running at this point. I actually just thought of this metaphor, but I like it. You know how in WWE when they're trying to like introduce a new star, they'll bring out the jobbing talent. And just let the new star like beat the shit out of them. That's what Bernie is. That's what Bernie is for the Democratic Party now.
Yes.
In elections, they can just drag.
Well, yeah, or else he's like
out of the progressive movement as represented by Bernie Sanders.
It's like, yeah, it makes me think of like how Daniel Bryan was treated, but it's like if Daniel Bryan like actually like was like, no, I'll just like stay at the bottom of the card though. Like that's like fine.
Yeah.
Like that's fine.
Yeah, like, no. Bernie Sanders is the Brooklyn Brawler. politician form of the Brooklyn Brawler.
Yeah, no, definitely, dude. Oh my fucking. I mean, that's the thing, man. It's just like, yeah, well, that's a candidate that won't fight. That like just won't have it. And it's like the thing is that was he had a decent chance. Like I don't think you disagree with that either. I think you'd probably think that he has a decent chance.
I think he made a horrible mistake in 2016 by not emphasizing his civil rights record.
I agree.
In comparison to Hillary Clinton.
I agree.
Because he had like the strongest civil rights record of like any Democratic candidate in recent history, certainly. And
no, I think he was afraid of like
he was afraid of backlash.
Yes.
But like he actually had the chops. Like
yes.
He actually had like been in the shit on all of it. And he did not trumpet that nearly enough.
And it was
never gets out there doing it for him, but
right.
That's not the same.
And the same thing in 2020. It's like, well, you had a way better record on crime, for instance, than what Joe Biden did. And Joe Biden got like all these fucking like old civil rights ass fucking Uncle Toms to go like fucking like, oh, this guy's the best guy. This guy's fucking like,
no, he literally sent millions of black people to jail just so that he could launch a failed attempt to be president.
Right.
Back in 92.
Oh my God. And that's the thing, man, is it's Bernie Sanders just was like, well, I don't want to become Ralph Nader. I want to be able to like, be liked in the White House cafeteria. Like, I don't want to just have a podcast be my only fucking legacy after this. And like have just like the crazy leftists, like me and Tim just like go crazy for him and think that he's great because, he guys, or he could have been president. Like, or he could have been president if he had just actually gone like, no, you're corrupt. Like, he actually called like Democrats corrupt, like actually used his independent advantage to go like, well, I've never been a part of this party, but I'm going to do because there's people I would talk to who were on the more conservative part of it who would have gone like, well, no, I would have voted for Bernie Sanders if he just wasn't running as a Democrat, but he's like submitting to them. And I was like, I don't think he's exactly submitting, but they're right. They're absolutely right. All he does is roll over and submit to them and sheepdog his supporters who are more left than Democrats to go, well, you guys have to vote for him. Oh, no. It's the same thing that the CPUSA does. It's like you're nothing. Like it is FBI approved revolution.
Yeah.
FBI.
Yes,
you could be, this is as revolutionary. Do not be more revolutionary than this line.
Yes.
Signed J. Edgar Hoover.
You should give that podcast about the Weather Underground a listen.
Okay.
It's interesting stuff.
I'll have to give them.
FBI approved revolution comes into it.
Yeah, I gotta finish Andor. I gotta finish Andor so we can.
Oh yeah. So we can talk about that. We can talk about that. A little preview of another stream to come.
Yeah.
How far you are? So you were what? Three.
I'm like four-ish
four-ish
episodes into Andor. But yeah, Tim was saying Andor is very revolutionary. I mean, I can see how it's like about revolution. Like it's about
revolution. That's why I said it's the best. I didn't say it was revolutionary. I said it was like one of the best pieces of media about revolution.
No, and kind of looking at that perspective, I can see how you're right because I was looking at him being like, oh, it's not. It looks like a leftist spy story.
It's not like there's a limit to how actually revolutionary.
Yeah,
but it's about I feel like it's the type of thing that could get people a bit more hyped, a bit more energetic.
We'll see. I'll see to the end. I'll because I want to see what you're talking. I'm kind of rolling my eyes at it because it's just like I don't see Disney doing that. Like I don't like V for Vendetta is the last movie about revolution that made me go out just going like I'm just fucking ready to go. Like I'm ready to fucking go.
Okay,
man. Like,
we need to watch more Andor.
Yeah, more Andor, V for Vendetta.
Because I will say, 4 episodes in, I feel like this is actually interesting. This kind of works as like our this little add-on will be our first little piece of coverage about Andor, because you're 4 episodes in, and I would say to this point, Andor actually feels kind of about his life and act. He's actually like yeah, I like I hate the Imperials and shit, but like I ain't like about to like step out here and like start fighting them and shit. You know.
Yeah.
That ain't me. I'm trying to pull my hustles. I'm trying to find my sister. I'm trying to just do me.
Yeah.
Get
Well, I
laid a
mean,
lot. Like that's like Andor. I think up to this point in his life has cared far more about getting laid than he has about like.
I mean, that's
about,
how I
like,
got
fighting
that.
the
That's how I
revolution.
got in that ship, man. That's how I got in that ship, bro. Like,
Yeah.
oh man, dude. Oh man. I mean, it's something else. All right, Tim. I feel like I think we about finish this
Yeah, I
up
think
here.
that about we said everything we needed to say.
We got to go watch this
We'll
Packers
definitely
game.
Well, go. Yeah, we're about to go watch this Packers game.
Yep. Go
Got some
Pack,
chicken
go.
dip, very cheesy chicken dip. Cooking in my slow cooker right now. Got my
Nice.
bottle of bourbon ready.
Hell yeah, man. Hell yeah. You're ready for that Packers game. We're gonna go to the playoffs, baby.
Going to the playoffs, baby.
Woo!
Woo!
We're not dead.
We are not dead yet.
yet.
And I think like the fucked up thing is that if we win and we go into the playoffs, we're gonna play the Niners next week. So
Yeah.
our season ends next week, most definitely.
We'll see. We'll see. Hopefully not, but we'll see.
I mean, it's Brock Purdy. We should be, we have to get past Brock Purdy, but also that fucking great defense of theirs. We'll see.
The defense is pretty good. All right, folks. Well,
yeah, that's about all for us. Until next time. Oh, you ready, Colleen?
Oh, yeah. Yep, I'm ready.
All right. Until next time, keep working.
Keep on working.